civilizations begin to come apart. Pretty soon, doesn't take long, the society can no longer perform its most basic function, the reason we have societies in the first place, which is to protect the weak from the strong. That's why you have a society. Well, in places like this, it becomes, among many other things, very hard to travel anywhere. You just can't go where you want to go. With legitimate authority in retreat, roads are not controlled by the police. They're controlled by armed predators, and the armed predators take exactly what they want from travelers because they can. This is an ancient problem. It used to be called highway robbery, and for most of history, it kept people very close to home. Turns out it still exists, but now it's called
back in the day, highway robberies was the reason why people didn't travel, and not because like airplanes didn't exist. I just want to know what the fuck he's talking about and how he's gonna drive home the point that this is somehow black people that did this, or maybe not black people, but like you know, people of color, immigrants.
Carjacking. Carjacking is the clearest possible sign that your civilization is falling apart, and that's why you find it in places.
Oh no, this one is about black people. Got it.
Like Somalia and South Africa, places where force, violence, and clan loyalty have replaced law and order. Places where
I don't know why I paused it right before he just, you know, delivered it, because it's only 1 minute and 22 seconds in. Like, you know, he's gonna, yeah, pre-watched. I know. I didn't pre-watch it. I pre-wrote it. Okay, Tucker Carlson is the most predictable racial agitator, the most predictable propagandist, dude. It's like expecting Hitler to somehow tie everything back to the Jews. You know, it's not that much of a... After a certain point, you're like, okay, well, Hitler, you're kind of doing the same thing every day, yeah? You know? It's like, get something new once in a while, you know? Talk about the gypsies or something. It's always the Jews. That's with Tucker Carlson, it's the same shit, you know?
Might makes right. In the city of Johannesburg, for example, a vehicle is hijacked on average once every hour of the day. Now, once that happens, there's really no coming back from it. Nobody's going to build anything in a city with endemic carjacking. In fact, most normal people will leave as fast as they can, as they have in Johannesburg, as they are starting to do, we are sad to tell you, in the city of New Orleans, where carjacking is now a permanent feature of life. Last summer, a law student called Madison Bergeron pulled into the driveway of her home in New Orleans. As she gathered her belongings in the car, a young man appeared out of nowhere, stuck a gun in her face, and demanded that she hand over everything she had, including the car. He screamed at her. Terrified, she complied. And that's what carjacking is always like. It is an act of violence. People don't want to give up their cars. They have to be terrified into doing so. That's why the majority of victims are women, old women, young women. And that's why the people who do it will do anything.
White women.
If you will carjack, if you will steal someone's car at gunpoint, you will also rape. You will also murder. You have no limits.
Wait, what? What?
You are willing to violate on the most basic level the civil rights of another person. And in this...
Bro, I don't even understand, like, the logical leap that went from, hey, you're willing to act out in an incredibly violent way, okay, in an effort to put money in your fucking pocket by stealing a car, and if you're willing to do that, then you will also rape someone. The fuck do you mean? And I'm sure the example that he has also features, like, some kind of sexual violence, because, like, Tucker doesn't just say that. He's a very good propagandist. I'm sure he can, like, anecdotally point to, like, a singular instance. But, like, fundamentally, the carjacking is done for, you know, a financial purpose. Rape, on the other hand, has no financial benefit for a poor person. It's the same attitude as, like, you know, if you're a criminal, you just have, like, this inherently violent criminal gene, and you can't stop yourself from doing all manner of crimes. With no reason whatsoever other than just doing crimes. That's what crimers do. Crimers do crimes because they can't stop themselves.
In this case, that was certainly true, because that same perpetrator went on, after terrifying Madison Bergeron and stealing her car, to do the same to other women in the city.
Called it.
A lot of them. There was a car blocking me in, one victim recalled.
Fucking called
and next
it.
thing I turn and there's yelling and there's a gun barrel in my face. The kid is yelling to get the F out of the car, get the F out of the car, or else he will shoot me. In all, the carjacker would terrorize 5 women and steal 5 cars in just 2 days before New Orleans police finally arrested him. And it's amazing that they did, because they're...
Let me guess. They released him. They released him for one reason or the other, either of overcrowding, even though I don't think New Orleans has that same problem that California does, or they released him because of like shitty paperwork, or they released him as a consequence of like police incompetence in the way that they did this arrest, or they released him because he's a fucking minor. And God forbid you analyze a situation where any of those things happen, and the person who's like responsible for it, there's no systemic assessment. There's no systemic assessment that is adequate in this situation. It's all the individual responsibility of the crimer doing crimes, who can't stop doing crimes because he wants to be a criminal.
Virtually no police left in New Orleans. In a city that probably needs about 2,000 cops, there are under 500 active duty policemen left in New Orleans. In New Orleans, they have definitely defunded the police. But in this case, the carjacker, a young teenager, was ultimately caught, tried, convicted, and sentenced for his crimes. Now, these crimes got a lot of attention in New Orleans.
Wait. Oh, teenager, by the way, called that part. Hold on. New Orleans has no police anymore? Is that what he just said? Under Mayor LaToya Control's proposed budget for the upcoming year, the New Orleans Police Department will receive $193,822,403 in funding, which is $16 million more than this year's budget. Man, that shit looks so defunded, dude. So fucking defunded. It looks terribly defunded. Devastating. And in 2020, they had 1,500 police officers. Yeah. They used to average 400 to 500 employee applications a month prior to George Floyd and the police reform protests that followed, Ferguson said. Now the monthly average of applications has fallen to 250. This isn't anything unique to New Orleans, Ferguson said. The profession has taken a major blow with criticism. I love that. I love that. First of all, the reason why, look, the force has seen 131 separations the past year, 78 resignations. A lot of those are probably people who are retiring anyway, or because they didn't want to get the fucking COVID shot. 44 retirements, directly retired, 5 terminations only. In 2020, they had 96 separations. How many of those motherfuckers died of COVID? Tucker Carlson, by the way, said they had 500 officers, right? Interesting. Interesting that he said that when there's double the amount. Bro, NOLA cop got arrested for fucking DUI in a patrol car not even a month ago. My city is fucked. Yeah, of course. First of all, just like Florida, if you're in Louisiana, you should be able to drunk drive. I mean, that's a given. Like, that's one of the, like, it's kind of a benefit of the state. You know what I mean? If you don't let people in Louisiana drunk drive, like, then they have no cultural appreciation for being from Louisiana. Like, you have to do that. Especially if you're a cop. Cops are already above the law. It's just a part of the culture. It's kind of fucked up that you are not applying cultural relativism to this. Yeah, they literally sell drive-through daiquiris, man. What are you talking about? It's a fundamental reason. Louisiana? Fun fact. Louisiana wanted to secede. Little known fact, because they wanted to do drunk horseback riding. And you know, the nanny state, led by Abraham Lincoln, ew, wanted to stop that from happening. It's really fucked up. Okay, I made all that up. Anyway, let's continue.
So the mayor of the city, LaToya Cantrell, showed up to the sentencing.
Also, another fun fact, which is not a fun fact, I lied to you. It's a very sad and very fucked up fact. Angola is literally a plantation. Louisiana State Penitentiary, also known as Angola, is literally a plantation. Overwhelmingly black. And yes, slave labor is still very much alive and well. And they do pick cotton, yes, in order to, you know, add insult to injury. Yes, there is a cotton plantation inside of Angola. So, you know, even from the aesthetic point of view, they're just like straight up, you know.
But here's the twist in the story. Mayor Cantrell didn't show up to support the victims, the women who'd been terrorized by this predator. No. The mayor showed up to support the carjacker and to let the entire city know that she was doing it, to let everyone know whose side she was on. Watch.
The mayor showed up in court as a character witness for a 14-year-old offender during sentencing. The teen robbed 3 women in separate incidents with a fake gun, stealing.
Is Tucker Carlson claiming that this teenager would rape these women as well? He was 14 years old. Tucker Carlson is angry that a 14-year-old did carjackings. And he like, notice how he never mentioned that, by the way? And made it seem like the gun was real, made it seem like this dude was an adult, made it seem like this dude was an adult who was like capable of raping too. It's a 14-year-old with a fucking fake gun. Tucker Carlson also took out loans. Lol, top of the hour, lol. Fuck you. God damn it. That is the cheapest way. That is the cheapest way to get me at the top of the hour where there's a 6-second ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do was subscribe. Did the girls know the gun was fake, though? No, that doesn't matter. Tucker Carlson knows. Why is he reporting it in the way that he's reporting it, dumbass? That's the point. A fake gun implies that, like, he just wants to steal. He doesn't want to harm. He doesn't want to fucking kill. He just wants to steal the car. It goes directly against Tucker Carlson's propaganda. How do you not understand that? Just like you don't understand that you can't avoid the ads at the top of the fucking hour unless you are subscribed for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Or, if you're lucky, you can avoid the ads by getting gifted a sub. Okay? There, I said it. Here's the one minute ad break now.
Their cars and belongings. The victims told Fox 8 they were traumatized by what happened, and then they felt victimized all over again when the mayor showed up in support of the young criminal.
I was in shock. She wasn't there for us. She was there for the assaultant and his mother, and it felt like she was supporting the crime.
Juvenile judge Renard Darensburg sentenced the juvenile to a 3-year suspended sentence, meaning no jail time.
It felt like she was supporting the crime, said the victim. Well, yes, it did, because that's exactly what the mayor was doing. Cantrell was taking the side of the carjacker over the traumatized, law-abiding woman. Now, in New Orleans, Cantrell is known by her nickname, TD.
Let's take a look at what Cantrell's actual take was on the issue. By the way, local news, disgusting. Like, local news, look, mayor cancels support for juvenile offender, provokes confusion. Outrage. Another article. Crime victims upset after Mayor Cantrell attends court in support of juvenile perpetrator. Both women, okay, he had a gun. He was like, I have a weapon. Give me everything you have as a victim. Both women gave up their cars. I live in fear. Not a good piece. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know, even feel safe. Thursday, Judge Darrensburg sentenced him and the victims say they were taken aback when Mayor Cantrell walked into the courtroom. Someone approached us and says, I'm going to warn you. The mayor is here and she's sitting on the other side, says the victim. It's like your city obviously doesn't care. And like the city's on the side of the attacker. While she didn't speak, the victims say the mayor sat next to the young attacker's mother as they read the impact statements to the court. I couldn't believe it. 3 women were shedding tears and holding each other and comforting each other. And she's sitting next to this mom. I'm looking at the situation. I'm confused. Are they not going to say what, like, the violent offenders wreaking havoc in our neighborhoods must be held accountable? We're practicing what we preach at the DA's office. In this case, prosecutors fought and argued for the judge to impose the maximum possible sentence. It was abundantly clear based on the facts, evidence, and circumstances that serious jail time was required to ensure accountability and public safety. We're extremely disappointed in the sentence that was ultimately handed down. I don't get it. Does, like, local news not do a fucking job? Like, do they not have a job to do here? You couldn't ask the fucking mayor? I don't get it. The judge sentenced a 13-year-old. Oh my God! He's not even 14. He's 13. Dude, no, we need like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, bro, oh my God. Tucker Carlson just made it seem like an adult man with a real gun who was capable of going out and like raping people was literally doing a sequence of like high impact robberies, whereas it was a fucking 13-year-old child. That is an abject failure, dude. That is an abject failure of the system. Fucking kid's 13, bro. 13. You guys understand what's going on here, right? You understand what Tucker Carlson is doing. "14-year-olds are very much capable of rape and murder. Proof. Thanks, I'm your Christ." Especially, 14-year-old black kids, right? Thank you. Thank you for bringing up the New York Post, an article from 2016. I'm glad in order to find racial agitprop to correspond to the other anecdote that was misrepresented, you had to go all the way back to fucking 2016. Thank you, though. But is he wrong? Of course, someone is capable of doing heinous shit, dude. What the fuck are you? What the fuck do you mean? When I say you look at a 13-year-old and you judge them, you have to remember that they're not only a juvenile but like a baby, basically. I just remember the case, dude. Listen. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Please dial back your neurodivergence, okay? Please, just like you're cranking an 11 right now. You're like above a 10. You're at an 11 right now, and you're taking everything I say like super literally. Your neurodivergence needs to be dialed just a tad bit. Like, take it down a notch, okay? Take it down. You're being real silly Billy on the main right now. Just take it down to like a 7, okay? Actually, it can literally happen. Thank you, okay? Turn it down to a 6. Just a 6, okay? Please, you can do it. You can be a normal human. Holy fuck. I hope you understand what I'm referencing here. You know what I mean? Please take one look. Please take one look. Please take one look. It's not just your neurodivergence, though, I think. It's maybe a little bit more operating there, too. Oh, wow, a 13-year-old was capable of committing a horrible, horrifying fucking crime. That's why we should always treat every black teenager that's been arrested for fucking carjacking as though they're capable of such horrifying crimes. Very good. Thank God we are not writing policy on that kind of attitude. You know what I mean? Thank God. And also, you have to go to fucking New York Post. You know, in his mind, he's like, I just remember the case. You made it seem like it's not impossible. You made it seem like it's not possible. Same energy as a Karen who calls the police upon seeing a homeless person in a McDonald's in winter trying not to freeze to death. Oh, how far you have come from that fucking take at 2:40. I guess when it comes to a black person, a black child, you don't have any sort of issues becoming that very same Karen yourself. Thank you, though. Thank you for your input. This was very valuable. Next time you put a link in the chat, think, how am I furthering discourse in this community by bringing this up? Okay? Do I have some blind spots? No, this dude's racist is the exact same shit right-wingers do to trans people. They bring up a single fringe case and say all trans people are like that. It's disgusting. Yeah, no. He's doing the, well, you made it seem like it was impossible. Yeah, life in prison, dude. Give him a week. He left already. He ran away. He dropped this and then ran away. Because I told him to crank down on the neurodivergence, so he's too busy fucking cutting videos about how I'm ableist. Which I am, you know, I guess. Fine. I'm right here. Okay, then fucking respond to any number of the things that I just mentioned. Do you understand? Do you understand why you bringing this up is an insane thing to do? And how it is fundamentally no different than what exactly, as the other chatter pointed out, what right-wingers do all the fucking time. You and Tucker Carlson are doing the exact same thing. So much so that I wouldn't even be surprised if Tucker Carlson brings up this example in his racial agitprop. Lock up the 13 and 14-year-olds just in case. They're dangerous. Is the argument that you're making. You should be ashamed of yourself. Yeah, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Well, I'm a little mad, too. Because he's doing debate purgatory. Nothing? Nothing on any of this? Okay. Very nice.
But many people call her exactly what she is, LaToya the Destroyer. She is, in fact, a destroyer. The mayor is incompetent. The mayor is an open race hater. The mayor is an encourager of violence. And she is destroying an already wounded city. We reached out to Mayor Cantrell's office to ask why she is doing all of this. Why did she pressure a judge to release a convicted armed carjacker with no prison time? But of course, she didn't reply to us. It turns out the mayor of New Orleans had a connection to this carjacker. Cantrell had enrolled this person in one of her administration's welfare programs called Pathways Youth Internship Program. Using taxpayer money, the program says it provides young people who commit crimes with a reward, paid internships, and a stipend. We contacted the Pathways program this morning. We want to know how many people enrolled in that program go on to...
I brought it up because your commentary seemed like a teenager cannot possibly do heinous crimes, and I immediately recalled this case, which horrified me. You seem mad because it seemed not to fit your narrative. I Googled it and linked the first article that came up. No, I'm not mad because it doesn't fit my narrative, you fucking idiot. Of course I understand that 13-year-olds are still capable of committing heinous fucking crimes. The idea, however, is not that you literally judge every 13 or 14-year-old by what one fucking 14-year-old was capable of doing. You fucking dumbass. How do you not understand? And of course, in every single instance, it's usually a fucking black teenager because there is empirical evidence to suggest that police and the criminal justice system treat black teenagers as adults more often than not. The same thing that does not happen to the same thing that does not happen to white teenagers. But you are so fucking insanely brain broken that your brain has turned into such incredible mush that you think, one, you're slanted towards justice in this circumstance for regurgitating racial agitprop that you got from a right-wing dish rag like the New York Post, okay? That you think it actually justifies the additional incredible punishment that this fucking 13, 14-year-old kid is getting, or rather, the lack of structural analysis that led to a 13-year-old doing such fucking ridiculous carjackings. But now, also on top of that, you're such a fucking debate pervert that you think you did something adequate here. All you did was showcase, once again, your neurodivergence and how fucking you are incapable of reading the goddamn room. Okay? I'm trying my very best to not fucking yeet you into a spaceship and launch you off in the fucking sun, considering that you've been in here for 8 months. But it is mind-boggling how fucking bad faith someone who's been in here for 8 months can still be in this circumstance. But you are probably, again, another painfully white fucking liberal who lives in the lap of privilege, who cannot comprehend how a 13-year-old could be in such dire circumstances and have no adequate social safety nets. Barely any kind of fucking meaningful shelter, any fucking serious positive influences in his life, that he goes around and fucking carjacks, okay? What do we talk about? What do we talk about here? We talked about this during the Kyo Boy shit too. These are literally kids who have so much energy and so much time and actually are committed that could do anything. I mean anything. And yet, instead of focusing on, in a normal society where their interests could be positively turned into something more productive, they are in here stealing fucking cars randomly. But instead of trying to look at the underlying systemic failures that led to a 13-year-old, you are doing racial agitative propaganda in a leftist community, okay? There is no narrative set here other than, yes, 13-year-old boys stealing fucking cars implies that there is some kind of structural failure here. Anything beyond that is just racial agitative propaganda. So unless you're a psychotic, white supremacist, right-winger, why the fuck are you doing that? Do you fancy yourself to be a little Tucker Carlson? Is that what it is? I want to find out exactly what led to this dude unfollowing and then refollowing on July 23rd, too. Because he's been in here for fucking 8 months. He's subscribed for 8 months, but I wonder what happened. I used to watch the Jordan Peterson podcast, interviews, lots of them. Bought his books, too. I'm not trans or homophobic. I mostly like this philosophical and social takes. Just wanted to say people like me exist. Sad to see what he seems to turn into in recent years. Re-examine your attitude that you have been brain broken into believing by charlatans like Jordan Peterson. Okay? Because some of that hasn't gone away. It's still up there. Reconsider the way you see this shit. The first thing that went in your mind, the first thing that you went to was, how do I further the Tucker Carlson narrative here by adding additional racial agitprop? Because the use case for why you brought that up, was to, further reinforce Tucker Carlson's perspective that 13-year-olds should be locked in jail forever. Are you going to apologize for saying a 14-year-old can't rape? I think everyone understands exactly what I was saying in that situation. The only person who doesn't understand it is people who have created sock accounts to specifically come in here and, you know, derail the conversation. But now that I have started responding to chatters individually, we will see a lot more of these gray names pop up. Clips are probably being made right now, right in this very moment. So they can say, Hasan can't take criticism. I'm using this as an educational opportunity for you. I hope you understand it. Instead of trying to farm Reddit karma, please, please, I'm trying to be as charitable as possible. Please. If I'm responding, I'm getting banned. If I don't respond, I'm a coward. Okay, I'm not banning you. Did I ban you? You fucking little shit. Did I ban you? Would that make you feel like you actually did something? When you are an insulated, shut-in freak who never sees the outside world, I guess this is what substitutes for bravery. Saying some dumb racist shit in the chat, having that turn into an opportunity for, you know, I don't know, trying to learn. But instead of doing that, you're like, ah, just ban me. Just ban me, sir. Do it. What, so you can go back to your fucking Discord server and show that you can no longer chat in the sub with the rest of the fucking weird banned people? Like, you didn't do anything. We will forget about you the moment after this conversation is over. I own you. If this is how you want to live your life, for all the haters in the chat right now, I occupy such a permanent residence in your mind that, like, you are shackled by me. You are my slave. I know that probably is a frustrating thing, but here is one immediate step you can take to free yourself of this. Stop watching. Stop going into communities that consistently, you know, churn out the same kind of narrative. If I have the capacity to change your life so drastically, you are not living a healthy life. I brought it up as a counterpoint to yours that a teen doesn't rape or murder or whatever, and I never use Discord, hate Tucker Carlson, but you are mad at me, so I'd be the bad guy today. I'm mad at you because you are playing along with Tucker Carlson, even if you don't recognize that you are doing propaganda for Tucker Carlson. Okay? Doesn't matter if you're not on a Discord server or not. I'm not talking individually to you. There's a lot of people who are just like you who are fucking in here waiting for an opportunity to, you know, chirp a little bit in the chat. That's why I originally said, you know, dial back your neurodivergence a little bit, because you like hyper-focused on a semantic disagreement. If you legitimately think that I personally believe that not a single fucking 14-year-old has the capacity to do rape, you're out of your fucking mind. Anyway, I've given you the attention that you wanted. Take some time off. Reconsider what happened here. I don't think you will ever be able to charitably look at what I'm talking about ever again, because I personally wronged you, and you feel embarrassed maybe a little bit, or maybe you think, you know, I got him really good. Regardless, hopefully you can come back and be a more productive chatter. Sisyphus, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. The wild part about this process is that the kid that Tucker Carlson was talking about didn't even rape anyone. Tucker just said someone who can carjack also has the capacity to rape. He also called this person an adult, made it seem like this was a fucking adult. Meanwhile, it was none of those things. Hasan's argument was never that a 13, 14-year-old could never do a rape or murder. It was that we shouldn't jump that those doing carjackings are all murderers and rapists. Yeah. And the reason why he got a 3-month sentence apparently is because the kid was a part of the Pathways program that the mayor started. It's a year-round workforce readiness and personal development programs for 14 to 17-year-old system-involved youth that seek to mitigate youth poverty, unemployment, and recidivism by providing them with paid work internships, workshops focused on conflict resolution, mindfulness, and soft skills development. I fucking hate my life. The dude he's talking about didn't even rape and the fucking chatter debated you on it. Yes, that is the point. That is the point of debate perverts. They are only here to derail. They're only here to fucking further their own narrative. They're only here to fucking belittle, derail, and undermine the overarching point that you're trying to make. Ironically, you covered the Minnesota carjackings where they said the kids do it for fun. That's happening down here. No, I know. That is another... That same principle for the Kia boys in Minnesota exists for kids all around the country. They're doing this because there aren't enough things like the Pathway program, or these are underfunded, or oftentimes not good enough. That's why they do it. Do you understand? And that's why time and time again, social programs end up immediately reducing crime. Like immediately. After school programs have the capacity to reduce crime immediately. Fucking basketball courts have the capacity to reduce crime. Like having any kind of like publicly funded area where kids with a lot of fucking energy can like go and do something about it. And a sense of community. Like create a sense of community, skate park, shit like that, an outlet to express their creativity and energy. Yeah, youth sports teams are really good for kids. Exactly. Rec center is cheaper than hundreds more cops passing out at the site of fentanyl, but we're never going to do that.
They commit violent crime within 5 years. We also asked how much taxpayer money they spend, but of course they didn't answer. But we don't need an answer. We know exactly what this is.
Thank you, Olfin.
Pathways, like most social justice scams, is not in fact designed to reduce crime. It's about siding with the criminal, giving the criminals as much support as they need.
I really hope that motherfucker that I timed out is embarrassed right now. He's literally, Tucker Carlson, the person you're agreeing with, is straight up fucking advocating against rehabilitation, is straight up advocating against like any sort of fucking social safety measure that genuinely does reduce crime.
A courtroom visit from the mayor if necessary, so they can go out and commit more crimes as soon as possible. So why would you do something like this if you were the mayor of a city of New Orleans? Why would you force people to leave your city, the people who pay all the taxes, of all colors, by the way? Why would you do that? Well, possibly because
Demon
the
Stasis,
people who
thank you
are
for the 5
left
subs.
tend to be the ones who vote for you. So it is a kind of electoral strategy. It's not just happening in New Orleans.
Yeah, this is what is like the most frustrating element. You're right. It's sad to see a chatter can't understand that bringing up a case from 2016 to disprove a point you never made only serves to reinforce Tucker's narrative. Exactly. I mean, he's too lost in his own fucking sauce now, and probably doesn't think that I have any good in my heart or any charitability towards him. But
it's happening in a lot of places. The downside is it leads to carnage. There have already been 191 carjackings in the city of New Orleans this year alone. Through all of last year, there were a total of 177. Now, most of these carjackings, and this is true in a lot of other places, Washington, D.C., we think, most of these are committed by people under the age of 18. Why? Because they know they'll get off. There's no cause. The local station WWL-TV found that in 2021, juvenile carjacking suspects outnumbered adults by more than 2 to 1. Now, that doesn't mean that these are Nerf versions of carjackings. They're very violent. In fact, they're always violent, and sometimes they're fatal. In March, several juveniles aged 15 to 17 mutilated the body of a grandmother, an elderly woman, as they carjacked her in mid-city New Orleans. They dragged her body down the street. Here's Fox 8 New Orleans reporting on it.
17-year-old John Honore, 16-year-old Bernaya Baker, and 15-year-olds Markel Curtis and Linraya Theophile.
Dude, Tucker Carlson does this every night, dude. Oh my God, he literally does this every night. This is exactly what the local news does all the time to fucking break the brains of your parents. And he has a different, like, black person caught on CCTV doing a violent crime every fucking night. That's crazy. And for the record, no matter how gruesome this crime is, of course, crime is a constant part of living in a fucking city, living in a fucking rural area. You have to understand this. What Tucker Carlson is doing is deliberately only showing you black kids or black people doing the crime. Okay? This is just the modernized version of the black crime tag that Breitbart used to have. For those of you who don't know, Breitbart used to have a tag on their website called Black Crime. Okay? Literally. I'm not making an exaggeration. When Ben Shapiro used to work there, Breitbart used to have a tab called Black Crime. Okay? Where they highlighted instances like this. Donald Trump does another version of this as well, where he will talk about immigrant crimes to make it seem as though the only people who are doing crimes are immigrants and they're really violent, and you need to take care of, you need to pay attention, pay close attention to immigration and immigrant crime. All of this, of course, is to reinforce the same white supremacist attitude that Tucker Carlson has. Great replacement theory and all this other shit that he talks about every night serves that same white supremacist purpose.
Will be tried as adults on second-degree murder charges. Police say that the teens carjacked Linda Fricky in Mid-City back in March. Fricky was beat and then dragged outside of her car until her arm was eventually severed from her body. She then bled to death in the middle of the street.
So again, society exists not to protect 17-year-olds with guns. On the most basic level, those are the strongest people in society, people willing to use force to get what they want. No, society exists to protect people who need the protection. The helpless, the weak, grandmothers who might be dragged and have their arms ripped off without police protection. And of course, in the absence of police protection and in the absence of leadership that cares about the weak, those are exactly the people who are murdered. And it's not just happening in New Orleans.
Demon.
What's interesting, if you pull back a little bit, and we have, because we think that carjacking is a really clear indication of things unraveling, you find that cities with Soros-backed DAs and well-funded diversion programs for at-risk youth are seeing surges in carjackings. Could there be a connection?
Well-funded diversion programs is such a fucking hilarious take. Yeah. One, society's strongest are the 17-year-old black teenagers, okay? Willing to take things by force. Society needs to do something about these strong predators, okay, with guns, and also that these social diversion programs, like the programs like Pathway and whatnot, are actually very well funded and promoted by Soros-backed DAs.
Connection. Philadelphia, for example. Consider that city. This is reporting from the local station there, Fox 29.
Carjackings in Philly, a crime that's been exploding over the last several months. And according to Philly police numbers released to Steve Keeley by a source, it's getting worse. From January 1st of this year through July 31st, a police source says there have been 757 carjackings citywide. There were roughly 850 carjackings in all of 2021. The latest sourced police statistics show that the majority of these carjackings, more than 500, happened at gunpoint and also happened while the victims were at their parked cars.
So why is this happening? Well, it's happening.
Great question. Do you think Tucker Carlson, seriously asking this to everyone in the chat, do you think Tucker Carlson will try to find a genuine answer, or do you think he will continue saying like, well, it's happening because, we're too pro-black people. We're too pro on the side of criminals. Interchangeably, he will say those things, by the way, in an effort to never come across as racist. Do you think he's going to say that? Or do you think he's going to say it's happening because people are really, really poor, income inequality has gotten completely out of control? He's going to say we enable the criminals and we harm the cops.
For very deep reasons. Any 15 or 17-year-old who sticks a gun in the face of strangers, threatens their lives, or kills them in order to steal a car is the product of something that is very hard to fix, disintegrating families. That's the real reason. But society, the authorities, still haven't.
That's what it was, dude. Damn. For the record, 1 out of every 5 black child has one parent that's incarcerated, a number that is 1 out of 42 for every white child in this country. Just a fun fact that you want to drop every time someone says the disintegration of the family structure, the familial, the family unit. And of course, the reasons for why that statistic exists is pretty obvious. There's only 2 reasons as to why that statistic can exist. Either intrinsic factors, like black people are inherently more violent and do more violent crimes, which would mean if you believe that you're a white supremacist or a racist, or external factors, such as systemic racism, constantly being undermined by society, economically being set back as a consequence of slavery, as a consequence of segregation, as a consequence of redlining, and the contemporary impact that criminal justice system still reinforces, that contemporary structural racism. So you either believe one or the other. Care to believe which Tucker Carlson believes, you think?
An obligation to try and stop it for the sake of the rest of us. So what are these cities doing to stop it? Well, Philadelphia, like New Orleans, sends so-called at-risk youth to violin lessons through something called the Philadelphia Arts and Education Partnership. So the idea is, after a month of violin lessons, these young criminals, people who've been busted committing crimes, get their records expunged. That was the plan that Philadelphia's DA put into place last year. Has it worked? Well, sad to tell you that despite the violin lessons, crime has gone up among young people, carjackings in particular. As Philadelphia's police commissioner, Daniel Outlaw, put it, quote, "I don't want to say it's surprising, but it's definitely concerning." Really?
Tucker Carlson needs to be thrown in perma-jail just for that fucking fake laugh, dude. That fake laugh alone, jail, permanent jail time for Tucker. Straight up.
Well, it's not surprising to us, but it is for sure an understatement. From 2020 to 2021, there's been a 108% increase in carjackings in Philadelphia.
I wonder why. I wonder why that happened. Maybe there was a pandemic. What is it to 2019 to 2021? Wait, what is it? Hold on. I need to see this.
Well, it's not surprising to us, but it is for sure an understatement. From 2020 to 2021, there's been a 108% increase.
Okay. In Philadelphia, he said, right? A 100% increase. From January 2022, there have been 768 carjacking. Yeah, he's talking about 2020 to 2021, but between 2021 and 2022, there's only been a 3 points. Wait, what? Same period, an average of 1.5 per day. Carjackings continue at this rate. It'd be an estimated 1,350. No, it's not. There's a lot. Fuck. In here. Liberia found a stunningly effective way to reduce violent crimes. Now the U.S. is trying a similar experiment. A study gave cash and therapy to men at risk of criminal behavior. 10 years later, the results are in. It fucking worked. By the way. But this is not the only study. This study, there have been countless studies like this. I'm trying to figure out what the fucking carjacking surge is. Imagine being told you were in control. You were in the control group of that study. Yeah. Children are assigned criminals at birth. You cannot rehabilitate them. You cannot put them in programs that will put them in any form of upward social mobility. You have to double the police budget so they can kill them unarmed. Yeah. Well, that, and also he wants to do that. And also he wants to fucking, I don't know, like forcibly institute family units or something. Like, what are you fucking supposed to do? I don't know. I have such a bad headache. He's unironically proving his own point because when those kids were on lockdown, they had nothing to do like school, so they turned to violence. Having extra after school programs is beneficial because it gives them something to do like school. Yeah. It's not just the used car market prices soaring though. It's that's one reason. Oh, it has the. It looks like it was lower pre-pandemic. Yeah. Probably most likely as a consequence of the used car market. Yeah, look. And the lack of shit that people have to do. And the reason why I looked this up is because every other crime usually, like violent crime and whatnot, pre-pandemic, not financial crimes, not crimes that you do specifically for financial gain, but violent crimes like murders and whatnot, oftentimes in 2019 were super high, but then during the pandemic, you had less social interaction and boom, they dropped. So then after the economy opened up again and there was more foot traffic, there were more people being involved with one another, it shot up again. So what a lot of people do when they're talking about crime statistics is refuse to recognize that like crime is still on a downwards trend and hyper focus on the difference between 2020 and 2021. Except this is one of the few crimes, this kind of property crime is one of the few crimes that has increased year over year. A couple of reasons for why it can happen. In the aftermath of the pandemic is because one, the price of a used car or the availability of used cars are much lower now, and the price of a used car is much higher. So it makes it there's an incentive for stealing a vehicle, which you can very easily steal, by the way. Holy shit! Like people steal it with like a USB thumb drive or whatever. I don't know how the fuck they do it. Okay, that's one. The other reason is because they oftentimes do not have any sort of prospects, no school, no nothing to keep themselves busy if they're doing it for fun. A lot of 13-year-olds are not actually trying to fucking steal a car so they can pay for shit. They're just doing it because they have nothing else going on. Get it? They're not selling these cars. They joyride and ditch. Yes, like the Kia boys. They're not, 13-year-olds are not fucking doing it to make money. They're doing it because they have nothing else going on in their lives.
In carjackings in Philadelphia. Chicago, too, putting up similar numbers. Chicago has had more than 1,000 carjackings this year alone. What does that do to a city? 1,000 carjackings? For every carjacking, there is a much larger group of people now afraid to drive. Now, Chicago is the place where Soros-backed DA Kim Foxx recently implemented something called the Juvenile Intervention and Support Center. Right. For this initiative, Fox partnered with, and we're quoting, black-owned, black-run businesses called Chi by Design, which pledges to, quote, be bold in our collaborative approach to create anti-racist outcomes. Really? So it's been completely politicized. The point of law enforcement traditionally has been to enforce the law, laws that are passed by legislatures as a product of the democratic process in order to protect everybody else. Now the point of law enforcement is to affect anti-racist outcomes, in other words, political outcomes. How's that working in Chicago? Well, here's Fox 32 Chicago to tell you.
There's a carjacked car.
Yep.
Yeah. Chicago's on it. We got eyes on it.
One of the passengers in the stolen SUV eventually fled. When police caught him, they discovered he was 17 years old, released to his mother. Sadly, he's not the youngest suspect that members of the carjacking task force have seen.
A well-known 11-year-old.
That have been in contact.
Did he just say a well-known 11-year-old? That's crazy. Weakest Aiden Ross sub. Bro, we have 11-year-olds that are known to the local police. Like, there's a fucking sheriff saying the words, a well-known 11-year-old. If you think this is just like the fault of the parents, I don't know what to tell you, okay? No, this is societal collapse. You are watching the wealthiest nation on earth collapse in front of your fucking eyes. You can desperately try to, point the finger of blame at like mothers, individual responsibility, bootstraps. But like, it's very clear that like something has failed so dramatically. Oh, video games. Like, no, motherfucker. It's not. It's not video games, dude. What the fuck?
With police before?
Yes.
An 11-year-old was arrested in Chicago as part of a carjacking crew, and it was not his first time.
11 years old. One of that carjacker's victims said that, quote, he actually skipped like a child all the way up to the car he stole. We can't tell you his name because he's an at-risk youth. Apparently needs...
What? No, you can't tell people his name because he's 11, Tucker. Dog, that's an 11-year-old. Just when an 11-year-old is black, that doesn't automatically, like, allow you to dox them, okay? You fucking psycho. That's, like, barely a baby, dude. Like, that's a goo-goo gaga-ass 11-year-old. Like, what the fuck? I mean, this is like beyond at this point, it's beyond parody. Tucker Carlson is about to be like, 9-year-olds. Why can't we dox them? Especially if they're black. Well, it's because society has gotten out of control. They're protecting 9-year-olds. There used to be a time when there was accountability for children. Tucker, the literally the most popular news broadcast, dude. The most popular news broadcast in the fucking country. And he's like, why can't I dox an 11-year-old on the most popular news broadcast in the country? As I'm cutting anti-black racist agitprop.
It's more violin lessons, and he will soon be a productive member of society. This is a joke. The people administering the program know it's a joke. It doesn't achieve the main overriding goal, which is to protect people who just want to go to the grocery store, protect grandmothers who want to go to church, protect everybody else who wants to go to work in the morning, who wants to live in a city where you can travel on the roads without being killed. Chicago's leaders don't care. The same is true, by the way, of the unnamed 16-year-old girl who hijacked a man's Audi while his child was in the car. That's an atrocity. Here's Fox's 32 in Chicago.
Auto theft just occurred now, 60 East 23rd, child's in the car.
The frantic father reports
Bro, these dudes literally just like sit around and wait for like any kind of crime to happen so that they can cover it in local news.
his car stolen.
Somebody jumped into his...
This Hasan dude is a beta cuck fucking idiot. Nailed it, dude. Not gonna say it. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. You're right. I am. You're right. You got me.
With the dealer plate, his child is in the car.
So, as you so often see in these cases, the person who commits the crime has committed a ton of other crime, because it turns out most crimes are committed by a very small number of people. And in this case, the girl who stole that car stole several other cars that month. Which makes you wonder, maybe violin lessons and visits in the courtroom from the mayor don't really work. Maybe these people need a father at home. The nuclear family? Right. Those things are not, in fact, racist. They are essential.
Mods, you can perma that person.
To any functioning civilization. And in lieu of them, it is clear that things fall apart. And the only thing you can do is to put people out of the public sphere, away, so that other people aren't hurt by them. That's the best we can do. And it's obligatory that we do it because people are being killed. And if you don't do that, you wind up with a society in which 11-year-olds treat carjacking like a sport because they know they can get out of jail very quickly. Here's Fox 2 in Detroit.
Detroit police arrested an 11, 12, and 4.
Bro, Tucker Carlson is literally... Yo, he's literally saying that, like, 11-year-olds need to go to fucking permanent prison. That's an insane argument to make on the most popular news broadcast in the country. Like, actually a wild fucking take, dude. That's... God damn, brother. We are going towards a very hopeless place.
14-year-old for stealing high-end Hellcats off the Jefferson North lot.
They think it's fun. You know, they think it's fun and there's no penalty to it.
Head of the Detroit Police Commercial Auto Theft Unit, Lieutenant Clive Stewart, stunned over the trio of kids arrested Monday right here on the storage lot of the Jefferson North plant. In a separate incident, this kid, just 14 years old, an alleged repeat carjacker, arrested this weekend. He was out on bond from a carjacking in May. Then last week, police say he jacked 2 cars on the city's east side the same night.
So if you look closely enough at this specific problem, carjacking, and it's one of many problems in our society that seem to be getting worse, but just look at this one, and you begin to realize, because everything is irony at this point, the youth violence prevention initiatives that are supposed to stop this actually enable it. Indeed, appear to be encouraging it, and yet they're still getting millions of dollars from the Biden administration. The youth diversion programs that make these kinds of crimes more common have a lot in common with the equity programs for unhoused people that seem to encourage homelessness. And those two have led to more carjackings. Here's a report from Fox 11 in LA.
I think I might do a permanent ban on Tucker Carlson rhetoric. It really hurts me. It just like... It is just like a never-ending sequence. It's like a 17-minute compilation of him just like tying insane things together, which are the exact opposite, by the way. Like looking at societal collapse, looking at all the fucking functions of a civilized society, and instead of saying like, hey, we got to do something about this, like we got to do like adequate funding, you know, we got to make sure that people aren't doing all this. Like he just straight up is like, they're doing it because we're not punishing them severely enough. In a country where, you know, we lock 25% of the entire planet's prisoner population. America is 4% of the overall population of the planet, and yet has 25% of the entire incarcerated population. We have more prisoners per capita than any other fucking country on the planet, including China. It's like a 17-minute Gish Gallop session of cherry-picked data, like cherry-picked anecdotes of like black people doing crimes. He does this every fucking night, and his solution is screaming bloody murder. I don't want to ever do this again. It just like genuinely fucking breaks me, dude. It sucks so bad, and then I can't cover anything else. Like I just...
Turning now to the new...
It fucking kills me.